we start? Okay. Hello everyone, welcome to Zun Project update. I'm the speaker Jiwei, and this is our other speaker Lu Hongbin. We will show, first of all, we will show you a brief introduction about Zun, and then we will say something about that the feature we have already finished and we are going to do in the STEM. After that, we will show you a demo, so that you can see how to use the Zun. First of all, what is Zun? In simple terms, Zun is an OpenStack container service. It's aimed to provide the API service for running application containers without the need to manage service and custom. And Zun also integrates smart OpenStack service. The advantage of integrating OpenStack service is that you can extend the container function by extending OpenStack service. And you can see is the OpenStack service that we request for the basic function. Neutron, Keystone, and Query Lib network. Neutron provides the network service for Zun. So when you use Neutron, Vim's Neutron function, such as security group, can also be used in Zun container. And Keystone, we can use it as Nova, like Nova. And Query Lib network is a plugin that can connect container network and Neutron. So we can also use other OpenStack service for extension function that you can see Cinder and Glance. In actual business, sometimes we need to save data for a long time. So the way we to support it is to use Cinder. Zun uses Cinder. We can create a container. The user can choose to mount the Cinder volume to the container. Cinder volume can be an existing volume or a new created volume. Each volume will be bound to a path in container file system, and the data stored under the patch will be persisted. And we also can use glances. Glance is used to store Docker images. Of course, if you don't want to use glance, you can also use Docker Hub. So why we choose Zun? In fact, this part of PPT I will say something about the difference between other options for incorporating OpenStack and Docker. Currently, there are some options for incorporating OpenStack and Docker. For example, Nova Docker. When we use Nova Docker, the containers can be operated like a Vim. For example, you can start, stop, and so on. But the disadvantage of Nova Docker is that there are still some difference between Vim and Docker. Between Docker, the option of Docker by VM-like model will still may cause a few functions that are unable to achieve, like port mapping and so on. And we also have the Magnum. Magnum is OpenStack project that of the container of the container cluster deployment function in OpenStack. Actually, Magnum most focused on the customer development of the container, and Zun And Zun manages the containers as OpenStack resources, and users don't need to manage, don't need to care about the service and the cluster. So, where can we use Zun? For example, CI/CD, patch workload, application hosting, and VCP. I will say something about the VCP. The development of VCP has a high requirement on the ISO length of the containers and need to be able to cope with the firewall upgrade. At Personal, Zun already supports Kata container technologies, so we can achieve the island between containers. At the same time, the implementation of container rebuild foundation can also achieve the purpose of firewall version upgrade. We will take later. So you can see is the fashion that we have already done. Kata container, Zun Kuta, container rebuild, and single volume multi-attach, and AZ and container healthy check. So far, Zun already supports Kata container, and the Zun Kuta, this BP is implement for packaging for This BP implements Kuta managing for OpenStack resources. So far, the resources can be managed is the number of the containers, CPU, disk, and memory. And container rebuild, we can also rebuild a container with different images to achieve the purpose of the upgrading containers. And single volume multi-attach. So far, this BP allows the same single order to mount 2 or more containers. So this is the future that we are going to do. There are Kubernetes integration, placement API, and supports Kata container in capsule. And we are going to make Zun to support the vGPU and so on. So let's see a demo.
Okay, hi everyone. So as a brief recap of what Jiwei is saying is, Zun is a project that allows you to create containers without creating any VMs. So what you need to do is run a command and specify an image in the Docker Hub, and click the command, and the Zun will pull down the image from Docker Hub and run the container based on this image. And so in here, I'm going to show a demo, and the first part of the demo is going to show you a very basic scenarios that you have a container image, and I want to run the VMs on OpenStack. And okay. So this is the Horizon dashboard, and there's a container tab that is provided by plugins that is developed by our teams. And so in here, we can create containers. We specify the name of the image, and which is in the Docker Hub. And there's a few parameters you can set. For example, you can set the CPUs, and you can set the memories. And there's a few other parameters that you can set to configure these containers. And then you click the create, and we wait for the container to be up and running. And it will take a few seconds. So now the container is running. And we go inside the containers, we can see the detailed information of these containers. And there's a console tab that will drop into the shell of these containers. And in the shell, you can enter a few commands and see the output. And the network of this container is provided by the neutron so that you can see the interface is getting the IP address for the neutron. And you can ping the external IP address inside the containers. So when we finish using this container, we can delete the containers. So this is the first part of the demo. And so we show you how to use the Zun to run and delete the containers, which is the most basic scenarios of running container in OpenStack. And the second part of the demo I'm going to show is how to use the HIT, the OpenStack orchestration service, to create an application that's based on the containers. And the application we are going to create is going to be very, more advanced and sophisticated, and it requires to orchestrate a few containers with other OpenStack resources such as foreign IPs. And how to go back?
Sorry.
Yeah, so I just paused the videos, and right now I try to resume the videos. And yeah, so here we create a stack that is in the HIT, and we go into the stack. We can see the topology of these applications. It contains a few containers in the Zun, and it also has a foreign IP address that's from the neutron. And in here, we can see the list of resources in this stack. And there's a few containers, and there's a foreign IPs. And this is the HIT template we are using to create this stack. And there's a container that hosts the MySQL database. And there's another container that hosts the applications. And in this container, we set an environment variables that is point to the IP address of the database. And the IP address is getting from another containers. And we have a foreign IP that is associated with the container that hosts the applications. And to associate the foreign IP, we retrieve the neutron port of the containers and set it as a target to associate the foreign IPs. And here we have the URL of the applications, and we open the browsers, enter the URL, we can see the application is up and running. Yeah. Yeah, we can see the application is running, and it's based on the containers. Yeah, so this finished the demo.
So that's all. So how to join us? This is our channel. We will get a meeting at every
Tuesday. Yeah. We are host a meeting in IRC channel, and there's a blueprint, there's a bug checkers. That is standard in OpenStack, and there's a documentations. Yeah, I think it's finished.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions?
When did you diverge from Nova at the beginning? Why did you choose to get a proper separate project from Nova, which is already handling the VM and the environmental scheduling, etc.?
So in the Nova, the Nova API is designed for the VMs, and the container the API of the container have some set of overlap functionality with the VMs, but there's other part of the functionality that is not fit into the VM APIs. And so we decide, actually the previous project that is MATLAB, that is decided we going to create a dedicated project for the containers. And the MATLAB is created and eventually is become a project that is for provision Kubernetes clusters, and Zun is separate from the MATLAB and become the project to run the containers.
And do you plan to integrate more and more intelligence to the scheduler of Zun in order to, for example, being able to get the limits and the placements API and something like that?
Yeah, we are planning to use the placements. So we are going to report the host resource to the placements, and we have the scheduler to find the resource, find a candidate to schedule the containers. But this work is going on, and hopefully we can finish the features within this cycle. And
do you plan to integrate the replication features, such as the fact that in Kubernetes, when you are spawning a resource, you are requiring to get this resource replicate 3 or 5 times? And do you plan to integrate such features in Zun?
The direct answer is no, because the Zun don't want to become another orchestrator. But we are doing a feature that is integrated with the Kubernetes, and what we are going to do is to implement the virtual Kubernetes, and which is a process that is like the Kubernetes, but it's virtual. And so the Kubernetes schedule the pod to the virtual Kubernetes, and the virtual Kubernetes is called the API of the Zun to provision the pod in the Zun. And eventually, this is going to integrate, and you can use the Kubernetes orchestration to orchestrate container in Zun. And this is a plan to address the use case you are saying.
You could also presumably use heat or Sandland.
Yeah.
To scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for the presentation. You talk about the integration between Zun and Kata containers.
Yes.
So can you explain a little bit?
So Kata container, right now we are using the Dockers. We are using the Docker APIs. And the Kata container is not a replacement of the Docker. It's a runtime in the Dockers. So in the Zun, you can say I create a container, and you specify a runtime that's Katas. And so then you can create a Kata containers. Is that explaining your questions?
I'm not sure.
The container runtime is a layer underneath Docker. So
Yeah.
they can switch it out and they don't use it.
Is there a plan to integrate Zun within the VM
right now we have no plan to integrate with Novas. And if there's somebody requests this feature, I'm going to ask the use case. And
Pretty much the same that with kata containers, actually.
sorry?
That's pretty much the same case that with kata containers, where you have all the containers running in Zun, but Zun being isolated by the Nova VM.
Okay, but right now we are just directly run the Docker, run the container in the compute host. And if the people want the isolations, they can use the kata, choose the kata as a runtime. So I'm not sure if this still makes sense to run the container in the VMs. And well, I need to learn more about the use case. So is there any other questions? Thank you.